We continue our saga into the Chinese server of NIKKE, even though I'm on my global account today, but I want to talk about character kits and the differences between some units. I'm going to be making a couple videos on this because it takes time for me to make these infographics, okay? So today we're going to be talking about Admi, about Yuni, about Epinel, and about, of course, Ludmilla, everyone's favorite. Now, before we start, two important things, of course, leave a like, subscribe, blah, 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 all those things. But the most important thing is not that. The most important thing is our CEO, Kim Hyun-tae, reposted this today. Now, if I refresh the page, this is gone. After he got called out, he removed this post, and I'll refresh in a second. But this is what he reposted. Okay, if I come here and I translate, it's a thread of mostly Chinese players making fun of Global for asking for the quality of life, which is completely fine, right? It's fine. Players will make fun of other players. The Chinese players can make fun of us, just like we will be making fun of them when they complain because there is a blacksmith on the Azur Promilia trailer, or because Raymond was NTRing their favorite girl in Girls from Light 2. Right? It is what it is. That's fine. The problem is when the CEO himself reposts this thread. Okay, if I refresh the page, this is gone, by the way, because I assume the PR team, the marketing team, told him, hey, you know, maybe you shouldn't be posting this if you haven't said absolutely anything to the global audience yet. The Japanese, the Korean, or the English servers, they haven't said anything yet. So, you know, you maybe should not be reposting this. So he removed it. Pretty funny, he got called out and then he went ahead and removed it. But that said, that's not today's topic video. I want to actually talk about the characters kit. I'll make a few videos on this. If you prefer to just go and read directly the infographics on Twitter, just go follow me there. That said, before we start, hello the internet, welcome back to the Waifus. I'm Sefhi, your favorite gambling addict. Today's topic, characters in CN that have different kits on global. Can you guys see everything here? I think you can see everything like this, right? Yes. You guys should be able to see everything. Let me know for the next video if this is big enough or not, and if the format is good and easy to understand. So I want to start with Ludmilla. Ludmilla is actually pretty good in the CN server. She still has the issue of killing herself, right? Just like our normal Ludmilla will do, because if we go to Ludmilla, not you, this one, the normal Ludmilla, the biggest problem she has is that she's a taunter, right? She will taunt everyone for 15 seconds on burst, and then she has nothing to actually keep herself alive. The defense on her burst is not enough to keep herself alive. So she does get more utility for the simple fact that her skill 1 has cooldown reduction now. So you guys can see right here. On last bullet, she actually gets 1.2 seconds of cooldown reduction. 1.2 seconds on a 120 ammo SMG is not amazing, but it's better than nothing, because CDR is really limited early on. Even for us, day 1 was limited, they have a few more options now. This is good because there is also units like Privacy who will be reducing the ammo capacity, so you have an easier time proccing this, right? So Ludmilla, just because of that CDR, is actually getting usage on CN. The only other difference is that her burst will also increase max HP, which helps only a little bit keeping her alive. A 15-second taunt is almost guaranteed a death sentence. You can't use her for specific bosses. You can't use her on Motherwell. You can't use her, of course, mostly for bossing. If we talk about normal stages, too many enemies. But for bossing, she can be used. So that's it about Ludmilla. A little bit of a better kit. CDR is really useful early on, but long term, she will not be used because she cannot keep herself alive, just like our normal one. Still, I want this changing global. Give me more CDR characters. Next, it's Epinel, an actual decent-ish DPS early on for what they have on their cast. So let's open our Epinel, as you guys can see why ours is completely useless, okay? Because ours is useless. There is no situation where you wanna be using her. As you can see, her buffs on skill 2 are only 5 seconds, right? Critical rate and critical damage. And also her skill 1 only procs when killing an enemy, which means it's never proccing, okay? You are not killing shit with Epinel, so she's not proccing skill 1. They have changed this a little bit on the Chinese server. First of all, as you can see, skill 1 will proc also on full burst on the last bullet, and these stacks are for 20 seconds rather than 5 seconds. Still same amount of attack, 13%, 5 stacks. But you can proc this without killing, so it's really good and you will be able to keep full stacks until the next rotation. This is during full burst, you don't need to be bursting with her. Second is skill 2. Skill 2 at level 10 on global It's a 6% and a 5% crit damage. On CN, what they have done is keep the same condition, last bullet, but instead of 5 seconds, it's 15 seconds, and it's a 16% crit rate and a 30% crit damage. Really big difference in contrast to global. These two things already means you can actually use her. SMGs still, lack damage in comparison to other characters, but if you get her in CN, you can actually make use of her as a B3 like I'm doing on my account, because she's dishing out good results. And also her burst has been increased a little bit in terms of the damage. It's still the same conditions, but instead of 457 at level 10, it's 586%. So Epinel, just by removing this stupid condition of killing an enemy or adding an extra condition so you can proc this, means she can proc these buffs. It's also 20 seconds, so she can keep this from rotation to rotation. And also her buffs on skill 2 are 15 seconds and way higher in terms of the damage that she's getting. So this means she's actually getting some usage, and I would love to be getting this as well on global. Again, I don't think when we talk about quality of life and buffing old characters, I don't think anyone would be mad for getting these characters, right? Or at least I will assume this is something most of us want to get. Next character, of course, is going to be Yuni. Now, Yuni is 50-50. So let me open our normal Yuni so you guys can see this. There's a few things that I like, there's a couple of things I don't dislike, but Yuni for the most part is a character that even with the buffs or what they change on her is still not that great. So she has charge speed on skill 1, she gets defense, HP, lifesteal on skill 2 plus 1 max ammo, and then she deals damage and immobilized targets for 5 seconds. Immobilizing targets is kind of useless, at least by right now standards. Even early on, it wasn't something really good or that had a lot of usage. On China, they have changed a little bit this. So she has a higher lifesteal number on skill 2, as you can see, it's a 4.22% instead. Skill 1 is also giving charge damage, so she's giving not only charge speed and also charge damage, but this helps a lot of the rocket launchers and sniper rifles we have in the game. Still not an amazing skill or buff. And then lastly, her burst is the same, but she's also increasing HP potency. Now, considering some of the other B2s are healers and there is barely any B1 healers outside of Rapunzel for the Chinese bros, it's not an incredible skill. But even with this buff, you are still better off using something like Anise directly, right? Most people will be using Anise for burst generation. Anise burst generation since day one has been one of the best ones, unless you had Senti. If you had Senti, there was no reason to use Anise because you were getting good burst generation, you were getting the shields and everything else. So this buff is nice, but it's still not enough to make her usable. And then lastly, I want to talk about Admi, an actual character that is getting a lot of usage and is on top of the tier list for the Chinese bros for a couple of reasons. Our normal Admi will give you charge damage multiplier, reduce damage taken for a couple allies, and give you reload speed and crit damage. At level 10, these modifiers are not huge. As you can see, it's like a 9% charge damage, a 28% damage taken, and a 50% plus 30 crit rate. On the CN side, however, this changes a little bit. Skill 2 will give you the damage taken and also an attack damage buff. I think it's attack, not attack damage, because there's a difference between attack and attack damage. I think it's attack, not attack damage, but the translation is a little bit iffy, so I'm not 100% sure. But not only she's giving you that attack buff, she's also on burst, increasing the critical damage from 28% to a 43% and giving HP recovery, aka some lifesteal, which is really nice. Lifesteal buffs are always good. The problem with lifesteal buff is that early on, they are a little bit weaker until you start getting attack buffs, until you start getting overload gear, until you start getting more dupes and higher level, where you can deal more damage and take more advantage of the lifesteal itself, right? So it's still a character that is getting a lot of usage right now with CN, because there is not a lot of healers, and she's providing also the crit damage and the attack buff. So all in all, considering what they have available, she's one of the best ones. I've been using her because I got Dola for cooldown reduction, but I can use Dola as an off burst just for the CDR. But those are the first 4 characters I wanted to talk about in terms of changes in CN. I want to talk about a few more characters. Like I was saying, I'll probably make 4 or 5 characters per video to not make them like 30 minutes long. Alright, that's it. Do let me know what characters you guys want to see next. I cannot check pilgrims. There is no Wikipedia in the game. Unless I get a character, so I can check them at level 10 the values, I cannot check these characters. So if you guys want to see characters, they have to be normal ones that I can see on the wishlist. Do let me know which ones you are interested in checking, and I will be making a video next on that. That's what's gonna be for this one. We're gonna be live later, playing gachas as usual, everyday live. Feel free to drop by with the link in the description down below. Good luck with your pool dinner rates. I see you later.